what I experienced was that everything would be going great for, 3, 4, 5 days. And then, like, right in the middle of the day, without any pretense or, warning, all of a sudden, like a light switch, she just wouldn't talk. And she was serious about it. I mean, for like 2-3 days sometimes, she just would not talk. 1 minute, we're actually having lunch. And I remember one time we're having this conversation, and then I looked out the window, and and she was talking, and then all of a sudden she stopped talking, and I said, "Oh, can you pass me the ketchup?" She just ignored me, like I wasn't even there, and I was like, "The ketchup. Can you just hand me the ketchup?" And she just turns her chin away, and I was like, "What's up with this?" I mean, she's acting like I just killed her favorite puppy or something. So I thought, well, I don't know what's going on, but maybe it'll go away in a few minutes. But no, it stayed like that the whole ride home. And so, of course, being, a man from the West, I asked her, "So what's wrong?" She looks out the window like I'm not even talking, like I'm not even there. And I'm trying to resolve this with conversation. And I'm saying, look, obviously you're upset about something. I really can't work on it, or, we should be discussing this, but I can't even work on it if I don't know what it is. Still, silent treatment, like I'm not even there. So this would go on anywhere from minimum 24 hours, but it would go on up to maybe 2-3 days. And then all of a sudden, again, without any trigger that you could ever pick up, all of a sudden she's like, "Hey, let's go out to dinner," or let's go get a movie. I'm like, "Oh, so you're talking to me again. Okay, now what were you so pissed off about for the last 2 days?" "I don't want to talk about it." I was like, "Well, it bothered you for 2 days, so it must be something important. This is something we need to work out." But she was insistent. She was like, "No, I don't want to talk about it." Well, this went on for 3 months. Finally, I had to just pack up all her things, and I told her, either you start communicating with me when you're upset, or I don't see how we can go on. And before I even finished the sentence, she took the key off her key ring, put it on the table, loaded her stuff into her truck, and drove away. And that was it. We were done. She didn't even want to discuss why she didn't want to discuss. So, dodge that bullet. That was going to really go nowhere. Well, skip forward now, a decade or so, and here I am in the Philippines, and lo and behold, it wasn't just some personal issue, or practice that she had. It's actually very prevalent in Philippine, culture among the women, is this whole Tampo thing. And, I've run into it a couple of times, not as bad as she was, fortunately. But some of the guys that I know that are married to Filipinas, they said they'll get it like from whenever it happens in the day, usually till evening. And then usually it goes away in the evening and they get a fresh start the next morning. Now, from what I can pick up, there's a couple of things in play that cause them to do this. Number one is this extreme reluctance. Women are taught, well, don't speak in anger. One Filipina told me that the reason she will go into another room and ignore her husband is because when she's angry, she doesn't want to say something she regrets. But it's taken to the extreme to where they just don't say anything. Also, when a Filipina has been offended and her feelings have been hurt, again, she doesn't want to, the whole culture really is not a confrontational one. In the West, we're very confrontational. You got a problem with me, let's talk about it, None of this guessing what it is stuff. You got a problem with me, tell it to my face, and we'll discuss it and we'll work it out. Well, that's not the culture here in the Philippines. Here, a lot of people talk about how friendly everybody is, how courteous everybody is. It's a byproduct of not being confrontational. Even if somebody is upset with you, if they don't like you, whatever it is, for the most part, they will be courteous and just not deal with it. They'll ignore it, I've seen guys foreigners who have made a complete ass out of themselves drunk in a restaurant and loud, and nobody on the staff confronts it. The most they might say is come and whisper and, "Sir, could you keep it down?" That's it. But for the most part, the staff will just kind of pull back, maybe even huddle in a group, and they'll watch him like everybody else is, but nobody actually gets in his face and says, "Hey, stop being a jackass or you're going to need to leave." So like what would happen in the United States, the manager would be out there saying, "Hey, calm down or you got to go." So to avoid confrontation, this Tampo thing has developed over the years to where they don't want to speak in anger, they don't want to confront and say, "Hey, you hurt me with this or that. What I found out triggers it most of the time is that a guy spent 1 nanosecond more than he should have noticing a pretty girl pass by. 99% of the time, that's what it is. All of a sudden, the wife, the girlfriend, doesn't want to talk to him anymore. Why? Because some pretty girl passed by and he noticed her. Turned his head for a second. That's all it took. Now she's angry, she's jealous, and she goes into this Tampo mode. That's one of the causes, but it can be anything. So now how do you deal with it? You know? Well, a guy like me, I'm very into communication. I try to discuss it. I try to reassure them that, hey, whatever it is, we can talk about it. You don't need to go silent. You don't need to tell me lies and say it's nothing, you know, or I'll get over it. I mean, let's just discuss it openly. Let's put it on the table. Let's fix it. Let's work on it. And then it won't become a recurring issue. That's how I prefer to deal with it. I want to talk about it. I want to get it settled and okay. If I need to apologize. If I need to change my behavior. But none of that can happen if they won't even tell you what it is. And there's a reason they don't tell you what it is. It's because Filipino men culturally have a whole other response. And essentially, during that whole time that she's being quiet, he realizes, A, he's in trouble, B, he now has to figure out what it is. But since she's not going to tell him, what he does is he starts showering her with affection. Oh, my sweetie. Oh, my lovey. You know, what's wrong? What have I done? And then comes phase 2. Was it when I did this? Was it when I did that? Was it this thing yesterday? Was it what I did an hour ago? She sits back and hears stuff that he did that she didn't even know about. So it's a position of control. She wants this guy down on his knees, confessing everything, and what she's holding hostage is the relationship. She is not going to make this a fun relationship again until she's satisfied that he has basically laid himself out like a doormat and confessed to everything he could even vaguely think of. And that's the dynamic that goes back and forth here in Filipino culture. So along you bring in a Western man, the last thing he's going to do, unless he's a real idiot, is going to start saying, well, was it when I did this? When I did that? You know, was it when I looked at that one girl? I mean, you know, why would a guy stick his neck, a Western man, why would he stick his neck out and start throwing out a bunch of stuff? No, let's talk about what it is. And that's where the problems start. Because now you got somebody who won't talk and another person who can't do anything until they do talk. The only thing that's going to fix it, in my perspective, is some communication, some honest communication. American women, it could actually move more towards the Tampo, because with American women, if they got a problem with you, they might give you the silent treatment for an hour or two, but they are just itching to tell you, well, you know, you need to fix this and da-da-da-da-da, and it gets on my... I mean, they will go through the riot act. They will definitely let you know what's bothering them. So that could be toned down a whole lot. In fact, most guys are like really sick and tired of that. They're like, well, we'll just try it over in the Philippines, where at least they go in another room and ignore us. But to me, communication, and that's my message today to both Westerners and Filipina. You're gonna have problems. Whatever problem started is just gonna be made worse with this whole Tampo, quiet, silent treatment, and then the guy waiting to discuss it. The only thing that's gonna fix it, in my opinion, is Filipino women, you gotta start, if you're gonna be with a foreigner, you really gotta start learning how to just express yourself honestly. You don't need to wait until you build up and get angry, whatever. Go ahead, take some time to chill out, get over your anger, and then once those chemicals and hormones have had a chance to calm down, go talk to him and say, you know, it really bugs me when you look at other girls in the mall. Or it really bothered me, you know, that I wanted to go and be with this family function and you don't want to be there. Whatever it is, oh wow, I got water from the hose sprinkling all over. Whatever it is, open communication. Then you can work it out. then you can say, okay, I'm sorry, okay, let's plan the family function, or okay, I'll try to tone down where I'm looking, we're in the mall, whatever, you can then work on it and you can move forward. Okay, so that's just my little observation and advice when it comes to this whole Tampo thing. There has to be a middle ground in the middle, and that middle ground is communication. So I hope that helps, and talk to you guys later.